Hi, I'm Greg Patton, and welcome to Yes You Can Cook, the way to cooking empowerment by cooking for yourself. And today we're going to be making a soup for winter, cream of mushroom soup. And we'll begin with the mushrooms. And here's the kind you should buy, the cremini mushrooms, which are these brownish capped ones. You can also use the white, but these have more flavor. And then you'll want to cut them up by just simply removing the stem. And then also remember to either brush the mushrooms free of dirt or run them under cold water and pat them thoroughly dry. Separate the stem from the cap. Cut the cap into maybe 4 slices and then cut each cap again into 4 slices. Then you have what we call a dice. And then you can take the stem itself and then cut it into a couple of pieces. And that's what you need. You'll need 1 pound of mushrooms that are diced this way. There's another soup that will be in the paper and also online, and it's a cream of broccoli soup. It's prepared in exactly the same way, except instead of using mushrooms, you're using broccoli. So I want to show you how to prepare the broccoli. Here's a broccoli spear, and what you want to do is just cut the end off to get the dry end off, and then take a knife and start cutting these little florets off. And you want them in small pieces, because you want them to cook quickly in a lot of boiling water so that they will not lose their color. We want the soup to be just an absolutely brilliant jade green. And so I'm just cutting up the florets into maybe 1-inch pieces or so. And then that's what you'll need. You'll need like about 2 pounds of broccoli. And then you have the stalk, and then just kind of cut the little branches of the broccoli off the stalk, and then take your paring knife and then cut down into the flesh and go all the way around to peel the broccoli like that. And then once it's all peeled, just cut your broccoli into, say, 1/4-inch slices. So we'll have these broccoli stems that will cook along with these florets, and they'll turn this brilliant green. And now let me get back to the mushroom soup and talk about the leek. This is a leek. It's related to the onions. It's in the allium family. You have to cut the end off, the root end off, and then cut off. You'll only need this lower part of the leek, the really white part and then the pale green. Cut it in half the long way, and then what you want to do is you want to fan out the leaves of the leek to make sure that there's no dirt. And if there is, you'll want to rinse it off really, really well. And then you just cut the leek into into a mince. And you can either use the leek or you can use a yellow onion, or you could use both. Cut little slices like that and then cut crosswise. And this is very fine, and it's called a mince. So you'll need like 1½ cups, and you can use a combination of leeks and onions. And now I think it's time for us to cook the soup. So here I've got 5 tablespoons of butter. It's nice and melted and it's bubbling away over medium heat. And I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of flour. And what we're making is what I said the French call a roux. And this is a flour and butter paste. And then this is going to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes to cook the flour. You want the raw taste of the flour to be cooked out. And you also want this to cook without coloring. In other words, you don't want really the butter to get brown at all. So do this over a medium-low heat and for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, there's our nice roux bubbling away, and then I'm going to add the leeks and the onions. And then we give this a really good stir. We coat everything with the roux. And then on a medium to medium-low heat, I'm going to cover this pot and let it cook very slowly until the onions and or leeks are tender. Okay, so it's been close to 10 minutes. Let's take a look at what we have in here. Okay, so we have our leeks and the roux that have been cooking. I'm going to add, this is hot now, this is 6 cups of milk and 1 cup of chicken stock. I'm going to add this hot liquid and then stir this up with a whisk. And the advantage of using a hot liquid when you're making, this is really like a white sauce with vegetables, is that it gets the sauce really nice and thick quickly. There, see how nice and thick that is? And then we'll pour in the rest of it. And you can use 1% milk, 2% whole milk. I would not recommend skim milk because you want a little bit of richness for this dish. You want there to be a nice mouthfeel to it. So we're just going to stir this up, let it simmer uncovered for maybe 10 minutes or so until it is slightly thickened. So our soup's been reducing for about 10 minutes or so, and then I want you to see this wooden spoon. You see how the film kind of, the soup kind of coats the spoon with the film like that, and I can run my finger down and it leaves a track. The soup is now thick enough. And you would do the same thing if you're doing the cream of broccoli soup. And I'm going to add some salt and a little bit of white pepper. You can use black pepper if you want, but the white pepper won't show up as much. And then also for soup, it's a really nice idea to add a pinch of dried tarragon, or a couple of pinches, about a half teaspoon. Gives a nice anisey aroma and a very slight background anise flavor. And then in go the mushrooms. Now if you were going to do the broccoli soup, you will have cooked the broccoli ahead of time for a few minutes until it turns green, and you would add them at exactly this stage. And then you would puree the soup because you wouldn't want it to cook any longer with the broccoli in it. And in this case with the mushrooms, you just stir this up and let it cook for maybe 5 minutes until the mushrooms are thoroughly cooked, and then it will be ready to serve. One thing before serving, now the soup is ready, I'm adding a little bit of an enrichment, and this is can be sour cream or it can be heavy cream, and if it's a cream of mushroom soup, I think it should have a little addition like that, and you just stir it in. Make sure that you taste very carefully before serving. It might need some salt, some pepper, maybe a little bit of lemon juice, and then you ladle it into your serving bowls and serve it with a nice crusty bread. So there's the cream of mushroom soup with a few slices of cooked mushrooms floating on top, and right next to it is the cream of broccoli soup with a little floret floating on top. And that's it for today.